Today I would like to talk about the history of the dystopian genre, from the first dystopian novel to the dystopian novels that we read today. Now, by definition, a dystopia is an imagined world or society in which people lead wretched, dehumanized, and fearful lives. And I have identified what I believe to be 6 distinct phases of the dystopian genre, from the first dystopian novel ever written to the modern dystopias that we see published today. So let's start at the beginning of the genre. The book that is determined to be the first ever dystopian genre varies by sources, but there are 3 books that are considered the main contenders: The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, The Iron Heel by Jack London, and We, a Russian novel by an author whose name I am not even going to attempt to say. Now, even though these books were published in completely different decades, the reason it is so difficult to say which one is the first dystopian book is because each of these books are so very different from one another. And because there was no dystopian genre, none of these books fit into the mold that we typically think of when we think of dystopian novels. And yet, in my opinion, you can easily make an argument for all 3. The Time Machine, published in 1895, explores the darkness of class disparity and the fallout that it can lead to. Aside from possibly being considered the first ever dystopian novel, it is often considered also the first ever science fiction novel. Even another layer for why this book is so important. And then we have The Iron Heel by Jack London, published in 1908. It explores the rise of an oligarchical class and the socialist movement that tries to tear it down, and all of the obstacles that it faces because of this oligarchical class. And then we have We, first published in 1924. This book is set in a totalitarian society where there is constant surveillance and every single person lives for the collective we. And of these 3 books, We is the most typical to what we would expect from a dystopian novel, which is why even though it was the 3rd to be published, it is still often considered the father of dystopian literature.